got that was making it hurt.
Hi guys, good evening
Hello.
and welcome to my TED Talk. These two here for whatever. No, I'm kidding. But it's really nice to
शुरू
meet
में
you.
insult.
It's really nice to meet you guys.
Same here.
I'm Dhruv Visvanath. I have been gifted a wonderful flower for my hair, thanks to
You're
Tanmaya.
welcome.
And I'm a singer-songwriter from New Delhi, and I'm just really excited to connect with both Tanmaya and Bharg about everything. And you are?
You just introduced me. So
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if I should do that again. But it's really nice to be sitting here in your presence. It's always nice to meet fellow singer-songwriters, musicians, producers. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys a little bit better. This is the first time we are meeting each other. So it's quite interesting that we can have this conversation in
Yeah.
front of people.
I know this is not Kaun Banega Crorepati or something.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think like I was saying, mostly hip hop meetups and people in the hip hop scene are very different. So
Yeah.
this is a very different setup for me altogether. It's more what do you call it, subtle.
Yeah.
सहमा सा है. It's not really out there on your face, you know. So yeah, it's nice to talk to people who come from a very different like set of skills and set of scene altogether as compared to.
I think a lot of us singer-songwriters are mumblers. We're not very clear with what we want to say. So I mean, but now that you said that this is quite subtle, and in terms of the things that you're used to, especially with the hip hop side of things, like what do you think are the bigger differences between something like this and something like that?
Bro, there'll be 10 people right here in front of you screaming your name and then just going like for the ragiest song ever, and then they just like to rage, and then most probably you'll get beat up or they'll beat somebody up, and that's the end of the day. No, they're not that bad. But I guess people over here are just sitting down, looking pretty, and just listening to you. That doesn't really happen in the hip hop scene. The hip hop scene is very rowdy that way.
We're not beating each other up today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just that when you started talking about presence and I'm just imagining there's like a row of really sweaty people standing here, and somehow your desk is wet or whatever, your stage is wet, and it isn't even you. But I had I thought of a very important question, like when you were describing your studio, when you were showing us your thing, your space and everything on the side. I figured it'd be a really cool thing to sort of for all of us to answer. But you said that your room, your studio, you kind of set it to whatever color you like, and depending on your mood. So what moods kind of dictate which colors you have in your room? How would you connect the two?
So if it's like something, if it's hip hop people who usually come to my house, it's a very trap house scene. So a trap house color is usually purple and blue mixed with a little bit of red and a lot of alcohol and weed. So if it resembles that, then that's what it is. That's the mood. Otherwise, for a lot of indie pop stuff that I do, I usually keep it to a cyan color, and because
Cyan color.
cyan it is.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference between hip hop and non-hip hop people.
Cyan is a place in Bombay or something like that. Cyan. That is also cyan.
It is, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the Bombay Sapphire color. So
that's a good one. Yeah.
So that is something there, and otherwise it's mostly bomb white and brown. Like I said, I like brown because dark brown because it's always a sunset, so it's just calming.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like, would you have a color that you associate to whatever you make, or is there something that when you listen to it and it's like, I see this?
I don't know. I think I just have a couple of favorite colors, which are purple and white. So for me, everything is like that.
Everything is purple and white.
Yes.
Very different to black and white. Like his hands, by the way, just look at his hands. It's all black and white and it's lovely. In fact, I was watching you guys paint your.
Yeah, I painted his nails.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I have some questions for you.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Go
No,
on.
I've actually been following your journey for quite some time, and
This
I
is how you
just-
know I'm old, and I'm not even that old.
How old are you?
No,
Are we
that's
doing
not.
that?
No.
Okay, fine. It's a secret. We won't get into that. But no, you've been up to some really interesting stuff, Dhruv, and
Sorry.
I think we would like to know about it. I've been watching some of your reels that you've been posting from the fact that you've been on a TV show recently.
Yeah, I'm sorry
We
about
would like to know about that. How has that been for you?
that.
It's this TV
So,
show on Apple.
Yeah, I was on a show I am on a show called My Kind of Country.
More excited about it.
And I think the most I've gotten out of it was I went to the India Cocktail Week on Sunday, and somebody came to me and said, "Are you Dhruv Viswanathan?" So that was as far as it went. So that's how it's going, I suppose. But as an experience, there's a whole, I just look at the scale of the whole thing. There's millions of artists here who live in this country. I don't know how many of us are country music artists. I'm not a country music artist. I don't think of myself as one. But somehow I weaseled my way onto something like that, and I just kind of kept working on things the way I always do, and I think one might think that like being on a show, or being on anything else, like things seem very procedural or things seem very like systematic, and it does to an extent, but I think the gravity of the situation of appearing on something like that is hitting me now rather than like when I was in it. Because now I can get to talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not some like secret or something like that I'm constantly having to hide. But yeah, and I'm just glad they make me look a little pretty, so that's fine. I guess.
But how was the experience for you? How much time did you spend like shooting this thing, and did you win it? Can you tell us that? Who won?
So I'm in the finale, which is great. Vishwanath ji ka beta.
Congrats.
Yeah, okay. That was horrible. Okay, but like, no, it was like, as an experience, like, I mean, I can candidly say, like, what we did was we would every week there was a kind of performance that we'd have to do, and sometimes we were. Sometimes we had the opportunity to do a cover song or our own song, which is different to most other shows that you kind of see, like especially when you're kind of asked to perform or something like that. And when you're in a space, then you're kind of, and especially like when you're in Nashville in Tennessee, where it's like this country music capital of the world, you're kind of like out of your comfort zone when you're playing like Johnny Cash, or Brooks and Dunn. Like the song, I did the song Neon Moon, and I actually hadn't heard the song before. And so we just made an arrangement 2 days before the show, which we filmed, and we
It was
just
beautiful, by the way.
thank you very much. That means a lot. Oh God. Okay. No, but it was just like the whole idea was that we filmed the show for 6 weeks, and I was lucky enough to make the final. And in between the weeks or whatever, we get to rehearse with these musicians, and some of these musicians were incredible. Like 3 months before I was there, the keyboard player played at the Super Bowl final. Like, he was playing with Dr. Dre and Rihanna. The guitarist tours with Ed Sheeran. The drummer tours with Adele. And I was like, why am I here? And so I think the experience is, it was like a boot camp. Do your best, and you somehow just do it because it makes you happy. And I don't know about you. I mean, like, do you guys ever feel like a sense of unhappiness in your work? Like, in the sense that when you're constantly in it, that saturation, when you reach a limit to, when you've just been making songs and when you've just been putting this effort, and sometimes, yes, it leads to something, but a lot of times you're sort of like, kind of upset with yourself as to you're not where you want to be. Like, how would you sort of see that for yourself?
That is always, I think, a
Yeah.
thought at the back of my mind for sure. But I think sometimes I need to separate myself from that, because I don't think that I can compare how I feel when I make music to anything else. Like there's nothing that gives me more joy than just like making music and working on music, thinking of ideas and like seeing them coming to life. But yeah, like the other stuff around it,
Yeah.
that can get quite depressing sometimes.
Really?
Because yeah, it's true that you're not always where you want to be, and you just sometimes have to accept that.
Yeah. Of course. Are you
Yeah.
the same kind of person as well? Like,
Nahi. I think over these past at least 3 years now that I've been making music as a profession, I've always understood the fact that at one point in time it will become a job, and at one point in time it is not going to just be you having fun, because at the end of the day, and it is not going to be something that only is around your mood. It is something that sometimes you have to put yourself into. So I think that sort of zen and that happiness that you sometimes feel when you're making something amazing, and sometimes when it doesn't happen, you just have to cut yourself out of that and just be like, yeah, this is what you, in the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's work. So
yeah.
it is the work you love, but it
Yeah.
is still work, and you have to take care of yourself and other things. So you do it, you
Yeah.
put your head into it and you do it.
I guess for me, like when you're put into a situation and you kind like I think I function well under pressure. Like when things, I think when sometimes I feel things are pitted against me. So it's, like say for a music competition in another country where they might send you home and then तेरे को वापस India आना पड़ेगा. Like it's just one big. You're thinking about the 12-hour flight on the way. And it's like I want to delay that as much as possible so that I can just
Yeah.
keep playing. So I guess in the way that somehow somewhere in that fact, like when you sort of like, I think the happiness takes over. You forget the reasons why you have you forget the reasons why you have to sort of go back home. Maybe home reminds you of something nice. But yeah, like I think in terms of even home, like your safe space and things like that. Like how is music your safe space in the way that you guys make and write your music? Like how do you guys feel? How do you guys center yourselves with it?
Do you want to answer that?
हम पहले जाते हैं.
Okay, sir.
Safe space. I think just the fact that for me it's just been like I can just tell everybody, oh no, I can't do anything. Sorry, I'm making music. Bye bye.
Yeah.
That's why it's a safe space for me. At the end of the day, it's just me and what I want to do. So it just automatically just becomes a safe space. And अब तो studio है तो it's quiet, so nothing doing with the world. So I think that disconnect from the world at some point in time, but being connected to it, because at the end of the day, what you are going to make is going to get out in the world. Is that sort of like, that sort of space is nice to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course.
So that's my safe space. My safe space is just telling everybody that I can't give my time to you because this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Bye. That is an
Nice.
important
How many
thing
plans
for
have
me.
you cancelled that way? I mean, like,
Huh?
how many plans have you cancelled that
A
way?
lot. Now that I'm in Greater Noida, no Delhi. Sorry guys, I can't come. It's too far. Bye bye.
Sometimes I actually want to shut the world off for different reasons, so that when I'm prepared to speak, I feel like I'm saying all I have to say in that, like, whatever 5-6 hours of just like sitting down and making a piece of music. Or
Is that your process? Like, do you kind of shut yourself off from everything and everyone when you want to write something?
yeah, because I can't even ask a question properly, so I'm obviously by myself a lot.
Yeah.
In the sense. I would say that the process is always like this. I've always described it as this. No matter what you make, it always starts with the first 10 seconds. There's 10 seconds of what you want. Like any song, and if you guys are songwriters here or anything of the sort, like any song you make comes from like the small thing you hum, this small guitar lick you think of, or anything of the sort. And it's just 10 seconds. And that idea in itself is what blossoms into the 3-minute idea that you listen to, the 4-minute, that
The
20-minute
entire
song. Yes, exactly. And so I always related making things making songs like Lego, because like on say I use Logic or whatever to produce, you can color all the tracks so they all look like different bricks and everything of the sort. So you're just making like beautiful patterns and things like that. So I always figure like you're kind of making a bigger structure out of tiny little Lego blocks, and those are those little notes that you put in, and they in themselves somehow weave a very interesting story. So and of course a lot of people will say like, oh yeah, you have to really listen to the music, you have to really pay attention, and but I just like to look at it too, like, you know, it is pretty, like it's magical. But yeah, I think it's always better to start off small. I mean, like, is that something you do as well? Are you a procrastinator in terms of the small ideas you have, or are you quite ready to just jump into something and make a full song from the get-go?
No, I don't think that's never the idea, to make a full song. I think I'm a firm believer in that if some idea is coming to you in your head or in your heart, and if you see it in front of you, sometimes I even see it in front of, you know, my eyes, and I feel like you need to just grab it and go to your piano, go to your guitar, or go to your notes app or voice note app and just like say it, whatever you're thinking. And then I can always go back to that idea and, you know, work on it more, because I know I want to like say a lot more than what has come to me. But yeah, I think I don't know if I procrastinate a lot, but I also don't force myself to write something through and through immediately, because it's so much more fun to do it without the pressure of wanting to finish something. But having said that, like, I think it's also good to finish your projects. Nice.
Good job.
Guys, do you wanna? I just opened this up
Go ahead.
randomly.
Oh,
This is a very, very intense question, by the way.
Go ahead.
It's
Okay.
like a very existential question. Guys, tell us about a defining moment in your career so far.
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
What
I want to
career?
know from you. I want to know.
heavy question.
I think you should answer it.
Yeah,
I
you
think
should.
for me, it was not clearing my law exam after my 3 years of college.
What?
Wait, what happened?
So I did my graduation in philosophy, and after that I was supposed to do DULLB, 3 years of law, and that was my academic plan. Like, I told my
Right.
father, my parents, we had all discussed this. This is what I want to do, and I was too overconfident about it. Didn't study, gave my paper, missed it.
Lovely.
Then I said, okay, कोई नहीं, music का try करते हैं.
Smart.
And it worked
Nice.
out decent. So that was my defining moment, was to not clear my law exam.
That's a really good.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a really good excuse. Actually, I had to get into music.
Yeah.
I love it.
हाँ, 1 साल था bro. So I said, अब है तो क्या करेंगे?
हाँ.
तो बस वही किया फिर.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
हाँ bro.
And
सही है
I've
यार.
listened to your music, man. You've done like some amazing things, like the
Yeah, thank
sound
you.
and things you've
Thank you.
cultivated. Like,
Really unique, actually.
yeah.
I did my homework like before coming here,
Thank
and I
you so
checked
much.
out your
Yeah, man.
music.
ऐसे मत बोलो भाई, शर्म आ रही है.
But it was really nice. It was
Thanks,
so
yeah.
different. Like, you had some like gentle stuff, and then you had like full
very
on
aggressive.
rap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that
it's
was
like,
very
there was a
interesting.
good sort of dynamic in the way that you kind of, and I can feel that in the way that you say, okay, I'm going to go after what I want, you know, forget everybody else, you know, I want to do this is my thing, and I can hear that, you know, this is me sort of saying my piece. I'm speaking about you, but like, you know,
Ji.
just, you know, just like kind
Ji.
of being more aggressive, and I really love that, like,
Thank you so
and it
much.
sounds so good. I'm kind of jealous, but it's like,
अरे
it's
bro,
really
ऐसे
good.
कैसे बात कर रहे हो आप यार? You guys have been there before. I have like even stepped into. So new, so
When did you start
I-
releasing music?
I released it 2 years back. 2021 is when I actually just started releasing stuff.
Right.
And yeah, that's when my first song came out in 2020. COVID के टाइम पे निकालना ही था कुछ, सब नहीं तो
Yeah.
ऐसे मतलब बस लोगों को हाइप करते हुए रह जाते हैं हम कि हाँ एल्बम आ रही है, एल्बम
तो
तो
वो-
आ ही नहीं रही थी. तो लोग पूछ रहे थे, मई 2020 में बोला था एल्बम निकालेंगे, मार्च 2020 में,
Yeah.
फरवरी 2021 में एल्बम निकाली.
Lovely.
तो उसके बीच में 2 गाने हमने ऐसे बस डाल दिए कि चलो भाई
Nice.
शांत रहो, हम आ रहे हैं, मम्मी कसम आ रहे हैं.
You're
तो
like
हाँ.
the Legend of Zelda trailer, come out 1 year.
Yeah, bro.
come out
Cyberpunk, no, bro. We
Yeah,
were like
Cyberpunk,
Cyberpunk.
yeah.
हम कभी नहीं आ
8
रहे थे,
years
bro. बस पहुंच ही रहे थे हम.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure.
Interesting. And when was the first time you released a song? I'm also like fairly new, by the way. I released my first song in 2020.
But I've been following you before that, now, bro. So that's
That I don't know why.
yeah.
क्या scene है bro?
But
अब चलो ये भी
When her
ठीक है।
profile was on private request. Yeah, I don't know. But that's
Yeah.
in 2020. My God,
Ah,
this in
I'm a
2021, 20.
pandemic. Yeah. I mean, I've been writing music
Yeah.
much before that, but that was the first time I released a song.
I think there's something about your delivery and your music which is so gentle, and it's like it's got this very, it's got this feeling of a constant lullaby. It actually feels a lot like this flower, you know,
Oh,
like in the sense that, and I put it back, and it feels a lot like, you know, there's it's like this blankety sort of sense. Like, is this something you knew this was? Because you sound like you know your sound. A lot of artists don't, and you know, like, and you know, a lot of people just don't know what they want to make, and so for some reason it feels like from the get-go you've always known that this is who you are. And do you think that that was quite apparent when you released your first song?
I don't think so. I don't
Oh.
think I thought about it so much.
Hip-hop, Abhi. I'd love to hear it.
But I mean, I'm glad that that's how it comes across.
Yeah.
But I think what I just did was I was just myself. Like however
Right.
it came out, it just happened that way, and I'm glad that I can like carry it forward with, you know, the thought that yes, I knew what I was doing.
Even the design language of your music as well, like in the sense that there's a lot of consistency in both of yours, like, you know, in the sense that I know I'm listening to a Bharg song, I know I'm listening to a Tanmaya Bhatnagar song, you know, like there's a lot of, it feels purposeful, like it feels thought out. And is this something that you guys have actually had to spend time? I'm curious because I don't do any of that. So like, do you guys really take the time to think that process through, even when you're carrying those things through?
I think about it a lot, but you don't.
I don't know. My first the album was 15 songs.
Right.
And before that, 2 songs. That's the only amount of songs I've ever made in my life at that point in time. And I released all of them.
But to do that, like to come up with the visual language and everything, did you spend
अब
time
वैसे
in
वो
that?
बहुत whims of fancy भी था bro. मतलब जब मन
Okay.
किया हमने, I mean, we were just lucky that way.
Right.
I wouldn't say like, oh, there was some fucking genius and 1% people in the world. No, we were just lucky. We just thought हमें जो करना है हम कर रहे थे बस. It was just that. It was just like,
Yeah.
the more thought I put into it, we would have gone crazy. We would have beaten each
Yeah.
other's head up and we would
Yeah.
have like not released anything.
Right.
Correct.
So we gave us a deadline. हमने कहा जब 15 गाने बन जाएंगे हम उसे एक एल्बम की तरह पैकेज करके बाहर निकाल देंगे.
हाँ.
तो हमने बस उतना ही सोचा.
That's nice. That's also a good, fun,
Yeah.
stress-free
बस
approach.
बनाओ. हाँ. उस टाइम पे मतलब हाँ स्ट्रेस अलग था ना. I wanted to like not make something out of music in my life so that I don't give another law exam next year. So my goals were different. I was like नहीं भाई law paper नहीं लिखना है एक और.
Yeah.
So you like completely quit your like whatever you had studied and now you're a full-time musician?
Yeah. This is bread and butter, everything.
Yeah.
Do you earn bread and butter?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to ask that question.
Bread's gotten more expensive now, actually.
I mean, I'm curious because you know it's not like such an easy thing to do that as a musician in this country or otherwise.
Luckily, we come off as very strong Delhi-based musicians, and a huge audience is in Delhi. So whenever we started off, Delhi was kind enough to give us that love, and then one after another,
Right.
it just kept going from word to like it was all word of mouth. Yeah, we didn't have any money to put in behind our songs to like play them even on Instagram ads at that point in time.
Right.
So it was all word of mouth. People just kept sharing music की oh तुमने रावलेक्स भर्ग सुना है, तुमने सब चाहिए सुना क्या, तुम्हें पता है ये लोग कौन है करके, and then it kept spreading and it came to a point at one point in time streaming numbers were also decent enough for us to get money, and then shows were also going decent. And then like after that because I come off as a producer and engineer, so I could sell those set of skills as well because of the album doing decent.
Yeah.
Because it did decently well, so I could be like, oh no, this is my product, I can do the same for you, hire me. So for me,
nice.
I could earn rather than just the song and the shows. I was earning from other things.
That's good.
That was like that's the only reason I could quit everything and be like, हाँ मैं यहाँ पे बैठा.
That's worth it for quitting
Nice.
law. That's definitely worth it. I mean,
Yeah, bro. I mean, I love academics, to be very fair.
Yeah.
But nahi.
Yeah. No. But nahi.
What about
Music
you?
is.
Me, I'm also full time, and I have to say, like, I think I have been through, like, I released my first bit of music in 2011. So it's already like 12
Been a
years.
while.
So it's been a long time. And back then there was, oh my God, what am I saying? In that time, like, we had to go and print CDs at a thing in Nehru Place. And, and then we'd bring those to a gig. And then, there used to be this place in Horsekhas called Manatsa. And
Oh, yeah.
and so what we do is like, it was like
So
this club.
it was a bar.
It was
like
a
a
bar
club,
and
yeah.
things like that. And it was very funny because the pillar used to be in the middle of the stage, but not in the center, but just off the left. And so if whoever was the guitarist or bassist, you would never see their face. And the stage was like, you'd stand and it was here somewhere. So you'd always see the bottom half of everybody's face, like, like that. So you're either performing like this, like kind of squatting oddly. And I remember, like, when I launched my first EP, and I never put it on any streaming service or anything later on. I just I still have the first CD or something somewhere. And we used to give the CD to the guy at the gate, and whoever would buy, because it was all a buy-in or something like that. Like, people would just pay at the gate, and that money just goes straight to the artist. So it was just like a good incentive to just get people to come into a show. And I would just say, you know what, just take a CD when you go in. So that way I would just get rid of like a ton of CDs. People have something in their house to try and listen to, and I don't know, judge or enjoy wherever they go. And to now, where I don't think I've released a physical copy of my music in like 6-7 years. And so I guess for me, like, there's been a big learning curve, because every time I've released a piece of music, it's coincided with a momentous occasion in my life. Like, it's a momentous story that I wanted to say. Like, when I did Orion or anything of the sort, it was like, this Vishal Dadlani believes in you, so let's do the album, it'll be great. In 2018, it was like, I got the chance to travel to like all across India and perform, and I told a story of that in an album. So that was great. And then when the Book of I came out, it was like, everybody's sick, that's great. And so like so just let's make music. And so I guess I've learned new things every time. I did learn a little bit of, maybe guys, and taste a little bit of what you guys have achieved during the pandemic when I released my last piece of music. It was very different like 4 years before that, or 4 years before that even. And I've always, I think the big challenge is adapting to that change, because I know that, there's a lot of numbers now in front of you. There's streaming numbers, and that can really get you down if it's poor, or raise your ego through the roof and everything of the sort. So sometimes you feel great. But is this now that, knowing that with the recency of your music, the releases of everything, and the way it's being received, how are you mentally dealing with the pressure of numbers associated to your music? Because that unfortunately is a real thing. Like, we all kind of want to be seen and heard. So are you guys facing that reality a bit? They're waiting for you. Pehle aap.
I think I think numbers have become the biggest metric from your Instagram followers to your streaming services. Right. Streaming is also an important place, because at the end of the day, that's a source of income at like some point or level. So you would always want your streaming numbers to go up, because that is like that gives you an alternate income except from your shows. Right. Of course, shows being the major one.
Right.
So I think that way it's always great to have that sort of a growth. But I guess when it doesn't happen, you feel really bad. And it sometimes it's also because when you release your song, it's not only yours, it's also for the world. And at the end of the day, when it's out there, you sometimes there's so, because at the end of the day, for me at least, I want to be heard. Like, I don't want to be one of those people who's like doing music only for like myself. I'm actually wanting to be heard. I want other people to listen to my music and appreciate it.
I think all of us do.
Yeah. Like, so in case some people who are like very happy just releasing music and not caring about the numbers, right?
Correct.
I'm from that other end of the spectrum. Right. I think a lot of musicians like us are. So in that sense, when it doesn't happen, it's like there's just some sort of rejection that comes your way, that you're like, okay, maybe your song got rejected at this level. Yeah. Maybe this wasn't uh, good enough, or maybe there was this problem, or maybe like the lyrics weren't that great, or maybe the hook wasn't that catchy, or maybe the production of it wasn't that good, maybe the mix could have been better. Then you
Right.
keep analyzing, and at the end of the day, I think by the next 2-3 weeks of the release, you're just like, okay, let it be, move on,
Yeah.
Interesting.
next song.
Just to add to that though, do you find yourself making things to match the numbers, or are you, or because on the other side, like, you know, you have people who just like you yourself, like you again, my God,
This
okay,
is the third time.
like, you know, you're sticking to your sound. There's something you believe in, and by what you're saying in terms of like, okay, this isn't matching the way the people are reacting to it, or the thing. Are you finding yourself kind of making the music so that you can attract the audience? Is that the primary goal?
I think it's a symbiotic relationship,
Right.
with the two. At the end of the day, you can't expect the world to understand what you feel is right all the time, and
Right.
that same applies to music as well. I can give you 100 chords in a song, or I could give you 4 chords in a song, and then introduce it to 2 more, 3 more, make it a little complex, and be like, hey bro, why don't you check that out?
Okay. Yeah.
So I try to keep it that way. I in that way I keep that relationship very simple, where I'm like, okay, here's what I love to do, but
Right.
I also understand that you wouldn't understand it so easily, because
Right.
we're not all scholars here. So let me just put this middle point where the two of us can meet, and I'm trying to figure that out.
Right.
That's why maybe like the variation of different sonics in my entire
Yeah,
discography is the
exactly.
result of that only.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
also
So-
get to see like how people are reacting to the different kind of songs.
So sometimes they don't like it, and that's also fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes they like it, and that's also great. At the end of the day, I have just done what I wanted to do, and it worked out decent. So I'm still yet to like test it out properly. You know, I'm still to test the waters at its best. Key, like,
Right.
what happens when you just like get totally bashed into the ground, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, shit, what did I do? And then should I make something for them completely?
Right.
Should I do that, or should I not? वो बहुत बड़ा question है, and I think it just comes from the place where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I think economics also has a huge thing in it. I think at the end of the
Especially
day,
when you're doing it full time.
yeah. Economics has a big play to it.
Yeah,
Matlab,
sure.
I was talking to and I think this is a very common thing. I think even King said that in the interview, and I was talking to Raftar Bhai once, and he said that at the end of the day, you're also supposed to take care of your family, and if you're not
Yeah.
able to do that, will you feel guilty of the fact that you did exactly what you wanted to do, and hence could not deliver to your responsibilities? So that sort of like, ये तो बहुत deep questions हैं और बहुत ज़्यादा मतलब debatable चीजें हैं, but I feel like your question, I want to meet to that middle point.
Yeah.
मेरे को वो middle point जानना है, ताकि लोग भी बजें और मैं भी बजूं और सब खुश रहे.
हाँ. Okay.
it makes
तो
sense.
वो हर बारी नहीं होगा, but अगर जब भी हो जाए चलता है.
हाँ, चलता है. अच्छा.
हाँ.
It's a nice thought. But how?
What was the question
no,
again?
but
I got-
how do you feel about the whole world of the numbers that behind streaming, and you know how it affects you? I mean, especially when like when Bharg said, like, you know, sometimes yes, the numbers make you feel good, or sometimes they don't, or
Yeah.
anything of the sort.
I think it's like a love-hate relationship
Yeah.
that I have with Spotify numbers and
Wow.
Instagram and stuff like that.
Data is really the worst.
I feel
sometimes.
like it's a really confusing space to be in, because why do we like derive, like, why do we derive our value from those things? I don't understand that. It's a struggle, honestly speaking,
Yeah.
because some days I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about numbers, and then some days I'm just like, why isn't it happening for
Yeah.
me? So yeah, it's like always this back and forth, and I don't think it's like very black and white for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I find myself asking the question why, and I never know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because then, you know, you're sitting down and you're looking at a song, it's doing badly, it's like, why? You know, you're just already in a place of panic, but then when it's doing well, it's like, why? There's already
It's always a
there's
question.
always this like weird question you're kind of asking yourself as it is, and I guess like for me, I like in this kind of thing, I'm always learning and I kind of am in between where the both of you are, in the sense that okay, nobody should care about it, but at the same time you want to meet somebody in the middle.
Yeah.
And then there's me, it's like, do what you want, and then somehow you kind of get into this point where it's like, why isn't anybody meeting me where I am? And that is the why. I think that's the ultimate why that we always tend to ask us, like, why isn't anybody meeting me where I am? And it's a very scary thought, especially like when you've like kind of seen how music has progressed and changed and how it's consumed and where people listen to your music from, or
Yeah.
what kind of things that
I also
like-
feel like the definition of being successful for
Yeah.
everyone is different. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people just do this for their soul and they
Yeah.
don't really care about numbers because it'll keep fluctuating.
Hey, that's me. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I at least don't want to derive my happiness from there for sure. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I'm just saying that, but tomorrow I'll be sad.
Just like one thing, like in general,
Yeah.
that I've seen. I was, and I've become a very firm believer of this recently. I wasn't, and that is just consistency and just putting things out. And at the end of the day, you will find your audience. And I think a lot of people miss that.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about having like 20 million followers or 2,000 followers. But
Yeah.
if that 2,000 followers are ready to pay for you, you will make that money.
Right.
Like a lot of people forget that, and it's important for that to happen. You have to keep hitting that block, and you have to keep releasing music, and you just have to be out there.
Right.
I think a lot of people are afraid of the first part because of this conversation that we had, numbers,
Yeah.
and me trying to meet that dichotomy and the
Yeah.
middle point. Sometimes I'm afraid to release my music out
Yeah.
there
Correct.
because I think, okay, maybe this is just too much for anybody to understand. This is just for me. This is too much me out there. So would
Yeah.
people even relate to it? But I think that doesn't matter at the end of the day. Even if it's you or if it's the most generic thing that you're posting,
Yeah.
put it out there and then let the world decide. You just do your thing. They
Yeah.
just make music and put it out because हमारा काम तो वही है.
Yeah.
So this was like something that I recently was very like I'm inspired by. So I just met a person who was saying I'm going to release who's going to release his music this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So like just do it. Like don't think much.
Absolutely.
Just put it out. तुम्हें
Agreed.
तुम्हारे लोग मिल जाएंगे.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with
Even
that.
if it's like a song that is not produced like properly the way you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
Like,
bro. Oh, on that, bro, I wanted to ask you, and I'm a
Bro.
huge fan of that. And I'm a huge. You released the Kya Tum Naraz Ho and you called it raw, and it sounds
Yeah.
also raw.
Yeah.
I
It sounds
really,
amazing.
bro.
You can hear the cars in the back.
Yeah, I'll be very honest. It hits the nail in the coffin with the fact that like sonically and the way you're portraying it works beautifully for me. And I was sitting with
Thank
Rahul
you.
and it released, and I made him listen to this, and I said, "भाई ये सुनो, ये raw है और ये काम कर रहा है."
Yeah.
You know, it
yeah.
was working. It
Yeah.
you could feel that emotion. You could really feel. You could feel some tension that is going on between like whoever the song is for and with you. And I just want to know like because I would be so afraid to put like my voice note out there or something like that. How did you go about that entire process mentally and even just like recording it? And I just want to know because I was really inspired by that one decision that you made.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, by the way. I think again, like I didn't overthink it at all. I just like went to my. I used to have a manager, so he was kind of like, we were talking about releasing music and stuff like that, and I just went to his place and I was like, yeah, let me just record a small demo, and then I'll take it to a producer.
Right.
Okay, so I just recorded the guitar and my vocals. Like he played the guitar and I recorded the vocals all on one stem. And then like a couple of months passed and I was thinking about what I want to do with it. I met a couple of producers, but somehow it didn't work out. I was so new in the scene. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know who I wanted to work with, or like I didn't know anyone. And then the pandemic happened. And I was just like, I really want to release something. I want to release something at least. And this was like the first Hindi song I'd ever written. And I was quite confident about it. And I knew that this was, something that was quite special to me. And then I just thought, okay, let me just put it out and see what happens. I had no expectations from the song. I put like 0 rupees in producing the song. Like this was a home recording. And then, I put it out there, and, whoever wanted to connect with it, connected with it. And it's still like that one song which is doing the best on my discography.
100%. That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's a really beautiful song, and I remember that was the first song of yours that I had heard, and it was the first thing I had even like learned about you. Like,
Yeah.
who is this chick? Like where does this come from? Like,
I like that you call me chick.
Sorry, but it was just like it was fascinating that it's a very brave decision, like to kind of do that.
Yeah.
And
it was really scary though, because I had already like a bit of experience. I mean, I looked up to so many people in the scene, and I was just like, oh, but I just didn't think about it so much, and I was just like, let me just do it.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really good decision. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I'm being very
Say it in the mic, man.
I'm being very honest, bro. Like, this is my fan moment. Yeah, this is my little fan moment that I had, because that song was the change, like special for me also, to just understand things.
That's so
better.
nice. Like, I wouldn't peg you.
For me, it was just like, आपने डाल दिया, bro. आपने बोला, fuck the world, bro. I'll just put it out there. Let's see. and क्या सही, bro. Shit,
Thank
crazy.
Yeah, no, I think we kind of tend to, we always think like more is more.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, you've been hearing it a lot more now in music, that, there was this big time, I guess, in the 90s and 2000s where like pop music and mainstream music was filled with so many elements.
Yeah.
And now you listen to things and it's just like 3 things and that's it.
I like the simple stuff.
Yeah, the simple stuff is good. And I guess that's something that I need to learn a lot, because I sound like a confused guy on my recordings. It's like 12 guitars all the time.
But it's so beautiful.
I mean, like, it's one guitar, I just do it 12 times. So like,
I would get tired, bro, doing 12 guitars.
Man, you're telling me you get tired. Like, it's a exhausting process sometimes. There's just so much like the raw recording thing in 2016. I had a laptop and I had this like crappy ass sound card, and it came free with this software called Air by Ignite by Air. It was the same guys that own M Audio or something like that. And that program only allowed you to record loops of things. And so what I would do is at 3 o'clock in the morning, every like at night or something, for at least like a good 2-3 years, I would just sit down and make music using that program. And to this day, the recording that's still on Spotify, like if you listen to the thing, there's ambulances and dogs barking in the back while my guitars are recorded, and there's delay on it also. So it's like, oh! Like, like so, and funnily enough, it is my most listened to song as well. So like, so I don't know why I don't do more of that, but I think I need to take a few lessons from our conversation. But do you think since then you've learned more things? Like, what would you think you've learned in your music making process as a creator? Like, do you always feel like you have to present yourself well now, or do you think you could ever go back to doing? Do you think you could ever go back to doing the? I'm very expressive, so like the raw thing again. Do you think that that's something you'd be comfortable with?
I would love to do that again.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just constantly like this proof to me that is also fine.
Yeah.
I don't need to do this elaborate production with every song that, like, hey, look at this. It sounds huge. It doesn't always have to sound big.
Right.
It can just sound.
It just has to sound right for you, for yourself.
Yeah.
Just
like,
right.
Even if it's like a quiet song and, with the right, I don't know. I just don't like think that it has to be this elaborate production.
Yes.
It can be super simple and still connect with a lot of people.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Also, that's the kind of music I like. also.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes Nicki Minaj is also good.
But you guys, okay, this is something like okay, I love doing this because like sometimes I like to think I make the music I'd like to listen to.
Yeah.
Like, is this something that you guys also believe in? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah?
100%.
and are you not shy of listening to your music like whenever?
Oh, I love my music.
Yeah. Good job.
Nice.
I made it. I was happy when I made it.
Yeah.
I love it. I listen to it.
Yeah, I think that's like a very satisfying feeling
Yeah.
when you go like, oh, that's good. Like, that's nice. But yeah, like sometimes I
I'm
feel
not gonna
a
lie,
little
you're
bit.
right. That feels so good. No, because it reminds me of the story where Aziz Ansari or something. He was talking about visiting Kanye West, and
Yeah.
he's sitting by himself in a room listening to music, and he's bowing his head like this. And then he turns around to Aziz. He's like, "You hear that shit? I made that. Oh yeah!" And so like, I'm just wondering if you guys have ever had that moment where you've just wanted to scream at someone. It's like, "I made that." You know, like I'm proud of it.
Bro, all the time, all the time,
Ah,
bro.
bro.
I think like hip hop honestly does that so much because
Yeah.
there's so much flexing and capitalism in hip hop songs. It's all the time like I made it, sort of a thing. So now for me,
Yeah.
but since I don't really rap per se, I'm just this shy singer who's just like at the corner. So I've not done that, but I want to do that this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to release stuff that is going to be like I did it.
Yeah.
मतलब मैंने ये करा है, bro. So I should be proud of it. And yeah, I'm very happy with my stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
good. Yeah, you should clap. For
Yeah,
me.
you should. Yeah, I mean,
I'm quite subtle about it though.
Yeah?
Like, I feel a little bit weird.
you
saying,
just like put it on your
Yeah,
phone on
it's
low
nice.
volume and just like this in the bathroom and nobody
Yeah.
will disturb you.
yeah.
Okay,
I
it's just
make-
me then. Okay, fine. It's cool.
I send it to my friends, and like
Yeah.
my husband is usually the first person to listen to like the rawest version of it till the production, and I'm pretty sure he gets sick of listening to it constantly. But
I doubt it, I'm sure, because like it's because you get to see new versions of. I think when you send a new version of a song to somebody to listen to, I think for you it's like a new version of yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes they look at it as like, "Kya kar raha hai tune? What did you add here?" Like, doesn't make a
Yeah.
difference. But at the same time, like, is there like a special somebody that you sort of send your song to first, like the person who vets your music before you kind of send it on to another person, like?
I think my parents, because my studio is like I usually keep my doors open
Right.
and everybody's listening to songs and then they just come into the room and they're just like, ये तो अच्छा है,
That's good.
Yeah, that's
ये
good.
तुमने बनाया? Oh, okay. And so
Yeah.
they're the first people, and then my manager and my girlfriend are like the next
Yeah.
two people who like I send my songs to them because their opinion to me matters a lot because
Yeah.
we sonically match a lot. My girlfriend is not a musician, so her opinion is very different. My parents'
Yeah.
opinions are very different.
Yeah.
And when it matches all three of them, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm hitting the right nail. So
Yeah.
Mm.
let's go.
You got a good
Nice.
sample size of people.
Yeah. Decent.
various
Four
audiences.
people sample size is good. And
Solid.
of course, Raval is also there. So I send it to him and he's very open about.
Is he like your best friend? And
So he's the guy I made the album with. Sab chahiye.
He's not
Okay.
his best friend then. Okay.
Yeah. No,
Cool.
he's my
Not
elder
anymore.
brother.
Cool.
No, he's my best friend. He's my elder brother. So
Oh.
he's like my elder
Oh.
brother. I started
Oh,
my
acha.
career with him. So,
not real.
That's
and-
cool.
no, not real, but
you
like in
consider him.
staying in terms of saying that he's my elder brother.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
This is the relation that I share with him now.
Nice.
Okay.
So these are a couple of people that
What about you, Dhruv?
Similar to him, I mean, like I'm also producing music in my room, and my mom is probably. I think my mom is the best gauge of what is good and what isn't, because she uses words which don't really mean anything in reality, but when you kind of put it in the context of the music, you kind of understand where she's coming from. It's like, it doesn't feel that thing, and then you're like, what is thing? I don't know, but you kind of figure it out along the way. And but yeah, I think family is good. Like family is a great barometer. My brother listens to my music, like my girlfriend, and my manager. I think my manager is probably the last person I want to send music to, because he'll just tell me it sucks or something or the other, or he'll tell me it's like, no, you have to do this better. You're making the same song over again, or something like that, or God knows what. But no, but I think that's when you just kind of switch off and be like, nah, I'm just making what I like. And if this isn't good, the next thing I'm sure the next thing I make, I want to make it better than the last one. I think that helps.
Mm. And how much time do you spend like practicing? Like, do you do your riyaz? Do you practice on your guitar? Do you learn new things?
There used to be a time, I stopped doing that now, but there used to be a time when I would practice from like the moment I woke up till like the first 6-7 hours of my day, I would just play whatever, and I just play. And I think a lot of the time, the more we kind of include practice in our vocabulary every day, and things like that, then suddenly it's like you're working. And I hated the idea of work with music, because you play music, you pause music, you play it, and this idea of playing music and seeing it everywhere where a music system is or anything of the sort meant that it didn't need to be practiced, it just need to be played. So I would actually take my guitar to the bathroom all the time and just play on the pot.
Nice.
Just like kind of just play like songs and make songs in the bathroom. I would like sit in the corner, like when it rains there used to be this windowsill, I used to sit on that and just like write songs. And it was just the idea of playing anywhere and just enjoying that playing anywhere that that was necessary. I feel like it made me feel like I could write through all the crap ideas and everything of the sort.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Get
And just like eventually land at something which I liked, and so it was good. And I think like I don't know about you guys, but you find yourself having to explain yourself technically a lot, like
Technically?
with your music, like, oh, I've done this here, can you hear that, can you explain how you've done this or something? Do you find yourselves kind of explaining yourselves a lot in that way?
Not really.
No.
I've not even studied music, so it's like I do everything with my ears.
With your ears. That's pretty sick.
So
Yeah.
I never have to, like, I don't even know what I'm doing sometimes.
Is that the same with you? Would you feel?
I'm not trained as such, like with somebody, through somebody. I've just trained myself over the internet. And of course,
Yeah.
production or sound engineering
Right.
के लिए भी same YouTube पे जाके how to make beats,
How to mix.
Yeah.
how to mix vocals. Whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly would love it if people hear the subtleties that go into the mixes and the production of it. Because
Right.
sometimes I think like क्या cool चीज कर रही है bro, ये
Yeah.
क्या pan होता है ऐसे, वो फिर effect आता है यहाँ से,
Uh-huh.
and nobody hears it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody hears
Yeah,
it.
I don't
वो क्या
think-
सुनेंगे? हाँ, see, somebody hears it.
Producers
Yeah.
do.
But like in general, like
You do it
people
for the
don't.
one person in this
Yeah.
room. That's what you do.
Yeah. हाँ, bro, for sure. And
Yeah.
musicians understand it most of the times because they hear it to like hear it properly.
Right.
And but general audience, I don't think my parents are going to be like, "Oh, bro, is that hi-hat going from left to right now?"
Yeah.
No, they don't care. Oh, for them everything is subconscious.
It is always that thing now when I don't know, you used to have earphones now, but one of them didn't work, so you're just hearing half the song. So you're missing out on the whole left-right wala
Yeah,
hi-hat
especially
thing
with
only.
like, especially with like
Why is
old
the hi-hat
music.
only coming once? What is happening here?
Yeah, especially with the rock and metal music.
Right.
Guitars are so hard panned left and right.
Yeah.
वो लेफ्ट में लीड बज रहा है बट तुम्हें सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है, वो तुमने अपने दोस्त को पकड़ा दिया है, वो वैसे बजा रहा है
That's why you
हवा
never
में,
pan
guitar
fully
करते
to the
हुए।
right. You always pan a little bit so that you get a little bit of the bleed on.
वही
thing.
तो सैडली यार कभी कभार ऐसा मोमेंट्स भी होता है।
It's okay. I appreciate it.
Oh.
Oh, this is the cue.
Oh.
You have another question?
Can I ask both of you one question? So that
then you have to
like,
answer it also.
Me, I don't have the answer to that. But do you have like any advice for aspiring musicians or musicians in general, like from your experience?
Don't do it at all. Get out now. Get out. No.
Like realistically, like what advice? would you give?
Realistically?
Yes.
Don't do it. No, no, I'm kidding. I always say one thing because and this is like, and it really does matter, and it's beyond talent, it's beyond anything else. You have to be determined. Like that is the number one rule. If you are going to make a song, make the song. If you're going to put out the song, put out. If you have the intent of putting out a song, put out the song. If you're going to try and figure out ways to sort of make content around it and tell a story around it, make that story. Make sure that you do it. And it's not so that for somebody else will hear it or anything of the sort. Just do it. And ultimately, it doesn't matter whether and you know it will not matter if nobody listens to it or lots of people listen to it. It doesn't matter. In the span of time that you work or anything of the sort that you make things, um, you can achieve something one day and it's forgotten the next. So in this space here, forget about the memory that you've created or anything of the sort. Just keep at it and keep the determination. Keep the effort that you put into it every day. If you have to practice, if you have to learn how to produce, and if you have to search how to mix vocals or anything on YouTube, you do it because it's something you want to do. And just make sure that your journey doesn't end at that step, because the more determined you are, the more paths open for you, and you'll end up doing things you never thought of before.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
so I think that's
TV show pe ho, bro. Come on, let's go. That's such a cool thing.
What is your advice for?
I think, like I said earlier, I think just like he's also said, put out your songs. There's nothing more important than just putting out your songs and then seeing what happens. A lot of people fail and stay there. And when I say stay there,
why
I
are
mean
you talking about
stay-
me, bro? I didn't do it. No.
No, I mean stay there. Don't
Yeah.
leave. Once you're in it, don't leave, because a lot of
Exactly.
people leave, and that's where they lose all their battle. That's where you lost half your battle. You've left, and that's
You
where the biggest
shouldn't
problem.
give up.
Precisely.
And the second thing you've done is not put out your music. Two things: if you don't leave because there are 1,000 people, for example, in that space, 900 of them will leave, out of which then 50 won't release their music, and then you're the 50 people who stayed and released their music, and then you will most probably find your audience and make it. I think if you do that much,
Fair.
you'll do well for sure.
Yeah. Fair. What about you?
Yeah.
What do you think? What would you like to say?
I mean, both of you have put out like really good points, but I think like my advice would be to not care about what anyone else is doing, and just like focusing on being true to yourself, and then putting that into your music and putting it out there. Yeah.
Fair.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, should we listen to some music now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being here tonight.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Yeah.
listening
Making
to
it
us.
through all the traffic. And can you give a round of applause for Bharg or
Thanks, bro.
Tanmaya?
And
Make
for
some
Dhruv.
make some noise for Dhruv right now. Come on, let's go Delhi.
Let's go Greater Noida.
तू रहने दे.
Sure. Yes. Okay. So the song that you're about to hear is it's a scratch right now. It's an unmixed version of a new song that I'm working on.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. And it's taken me a while to get here because there were a lot of things that were happening the last couple of months. And I also got married in the last couple of months. So since I derive a lot of inspiration from whatever was happening in my life, I have written a love song, of course. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is the first time you guys will hear it, or anybody else apart from my husband who's going to hear the song. So yeah. It's unmixed, so please.
So wait, how
remember
many
that.
versions of the song has he heard before this one?
I think a gazillion.
Okay.
I got myself a keyboard on my birthday last year in March, and
Nice.
I don't know how to play a piano. I don't know what are the chords. So it's again like just sitting down with the instrument, spending time with it, and figuring out chords. And this was the first song I wrote on the keyboard,
Brilliant.
the piano. Yes.
What's the song called, by the way?
The song's name is not confirmed yet, but I think for me it's Izhar. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh my god, I'm nervous. Thank you.
That was beautiful. That's really
I'm
beautiful.
feeling very shy right now. नहीं bro.
नहीं bro, क्या बोल रहे हो? इतना सही तो
It was
है.
beautiful. I really like that ting, tick, ting, tick, tick, ting.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was just beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. अब मैं nervous हो गया हूँ. I don't know about you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when did you make this? Like,
I wrote the song last year in November, and I worked with Dhruv Bhola.
yeah.
He's the
Oh,
bassist from Peter
Peter,
Cat
yeah.
Recording.
Crazy.
Yeah, and we've been talking to each other and wanting to work on something, and this
Beautiful
we
song.
worked on this song
He's a
together. So it
great
was
songwriter.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun to work with him, and I just finished recording final vocals just last weekend.
Right.
This weekend.
Okay.
And yeah, and now we're gonna go into the mix stage.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Damn, bro. And how is it like working with like so many layers? Like I could just hear so many vocal
Yeah.
layers, like one underneath the other. There's like vocal doubling left, right, and center. It's crazy.
Yeah, I did a lot of double takes and a lot of harmonies. Yeah, so nice.
Yeah, that's very pretty.
There's one question
Thank
I have to
you.
ask though. You have a very soft voice. How do you get it to sit so far in front in your music? Like I'm curious about it because there's a very soft presence to it. And even with all that was going on in the music and all the scale that you had brought to it, your voice was
Yeah.
still so clear and things like what is it that you are doing to sort of keep it gentle but like keep it in the thing? In the
I
middle?
think I just create the world around the voice instead of saying that okay, everything needs to blend in together.
Right.
So even when I work with any producer, that's what I kind of tell him, that I want the voice to be the hero, because I don't project very much. So it's very intimidating when I go to the studio and have to sing. But yeah, I think if I just have that brief from the get-go and everybody's on the same page, then it kind of happens. And anytime I feel like my voice is kind of drowning in the mix, then I have to change it,
Obviously.
Yeah.
That's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Sure. Why not?
Okay, now we're going to listen to Dhruv.
Thank you.
Your music always makes me so happy.
Bro.
Sorry?
Your music always makes me like so
Wow,
happy.
because I sound miserable.
Yo, that's crazy. The guitars are so nicely recorded.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
Really nice.
Is this mixed also?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
mixed.
right. Who mixed it?
I got it mixed by Keshav Dhar.
Crazy mix, bro.
Thank you, man.
Sounds so clean.
And yeah, I actually made the whole song in my bedroom. So all the guitars and everything, the vocals, everything's produced in my bedroom itself. So that's just how I make my music. But yeah.
Really cool.
Thank you so much.
That is so tight.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Really, I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
I just wanted to like genuinely just like a little technical question. I'm so sorry, guys.
Sure, no worries.
I just wanted to know like what's your like guitar recording process per se, because I sometimes I get very fed up with it.
Yeah.
Because I sometimes don't achieve the sound that I want to, and I keep moving my mic and my guitar all the time. and even though like after doing it for so long, I still struggle with it. But what I'm hearing right now is like, so because you have spent so much time with guitar as such.
Yeah.
And this also sounds so tight. I just want to know what are like your tested and tried methods to like record your guitar.
I was always told when the way I play basically is percussive style. So I hit the body of the guitar and I'm playing at the same time. So how do you capture so much of the instrument? And at first I thought, okay, do you put as many mics as you want in the room and you just capture the sound as it is? Or what would you get if you put one mic in the room and see how it is? And so I've seen the difference of the two. And what I have learned is just the most important thing is that never capture the guitar at either ends. So never put a mic at one end and never put it at the other, because at this end you'll hear nothing and at that end you'll hear so that won't really help. But always just keep it somewhere in the middle. Like if you have a mic, just put it somewhere at the 12th fret and that's fine. That's more than enough. But what I've started doing is I always put a second mic right above my guitar. So I just kind of get this wherever the sound kind of spreads, it just captures the tone upward. And so
Okay.
it captures a little bit of the brightness of the instrument. And so, and a little technical thing here, because the mics are at a certain distance, the sound waves are
Phase.
different. So you have to correct the phase.
Yeah.
And then most importantly, in order to just get the tone right, it's just, roll off the brightness and the lows just a little bit. I have a tendency, because I'm the rhythm, I'm the everything
Yeah.
on the thing, that I have to keep the low end. But you find a lot of busyness somewhere in the high mids and everything of the
Ji.
sort. You just scoop them out a little bit, and you actually get a really clean guitar tone. And more than anything else, what I've learned is just keep everything, all the sounds that your guitars make, because a lot of the times people are like, no, this is not played clean enough, and this is not done in this way. And I find that it's actually more encouraging to kind of include the mistakes in the way that you play, because it just ends up being more like, innocent. It makes it seem more like approachable. You're not like, you're not like some Steve Vai on the guitar or something like that, or anything of the sort. Like, I might play a certain way, but if you were to just strum a few chords on the guitar, you would still manage to kind of hear your own thing and put it together. So I guess, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, pretty well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also,
Okay.
guys, what guitars are you using? I want to buy a new acoustic and I'm very confused. So I'll just
Ask
like
him.
take it from people who
He's
use.
the guy to ask.
तुम लोग क्या बजा रहे
You'll
हैं?
be like I have 45,000 DMs in my things, like, bro, which guitar should I buy? What to think? And they'll ask me, is like, bro, can you just like come here and just help me? Like, it's just, I've had people open Amazon shops. Have your parents ever told you that when you're doing music, like, or at least for you, is like, oh man, you're gonna get all the girls, everybody's gonna come up to you and keep talking to you? Because all I get are like dudes who come and ask me questions about the guitar.
Bro, you come to hip hop scene, you'll see nothing but dudes. Huh? And they're all like, it's very simple. By link.
Yeah, by
सीधा link आता है, सुन लेना.
By
Yeah,
link.
yeah.
That's all you get in your message request. As simple as that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
But if you're, as your question for an acoustic guitar, thank you
Yeah.
for asking me that. I use a custom acoustic, which is a Dehradun guitar, which they made for me.
Okay.
And it's to sort of do with my percussion, and they've put extra bracing on the instrument, and the sustain of the instrument is actually longer.
Ji.
And I call her Willow. That has nothing to do with it, but that's her name. And but the idea of an acoustic guitar that I always try to encourage is always stick to something that is warm. Always stick to something that will survive all conditions. It's very practical advice, because the more expensive you go, the more you have to watch out for things like humidity
Yeah.
and other things like that.
Hmm.
And for that, like I always try to recommend, you never have to buy the most expensive guitar in the room. You can make like a 20,000 rupee guitar sound like something that's worth lakhs. It's just how you layer it.
Yeah.
And especially like in the recordings, all the
Yeah.
guitars are layered. Like, so the
Yeah.
percussions are layered twice, the strums are layered twice, any embellishment is layered twice. So the clarity is all.
Too much effort.
Nice.
See, this is why I procrastinate. It is so tiring. But yeah. No, I'd love to listen to his song, but yeah.
You haven't?
Oh, okay.
So are you gonna rap like? I read the email that was sent to you.
Acha. Yeah. Suddenly everybody just comes up here.
हाँ चलते चलते शाम ढल गई, देखा जो तुझे तो फिर ये बात बन गई। हाँ धीरे धीरे सांसें थम गई, अब ये देखा जो तुझे तो फिर ये बात बन गई। हाँ चलते चलते शाम ढल गई, देखा जो तुझे तो फिर ये बात बन गई। हाँ धीरे धीरे सांसें थम गई, अब ये देखा जो तुझे तो फिर ये बात बन गई।
मैंने बोला मुझे नहीं चाहिए प्यार, पर मैं फिर भी गया हार। तेरी आंखें हथियार, मैं भूला पूरा संसार मेरे साथ चल गई। निकले थे हम सुबह पर अब शाम ढल गई, मिला जब से तुझसे तो फिर बात बन गई। दिल को तूने ऐसे छुआ, टाइम गायब जैसे धुआं ओ यार प्यार का ये खेल जुआ और मैं कुएं में वेट करता तेरे रिप्लाई का अपना टाइम आएगा इन चीजों का है कोई नहीं फायदा सिर्फ दिल का है दर्द बकायदा पर पहले पंक्ति है निशाने पे मैं कर कुर्सी तू इशारे दे खिले शिकवों को तू जाने दे जो दिल में फंसा प्यार उसे आने दे
इन ख्वाबों में गुमसुम हूँ क्यों हाँ चलते चलते शाम ढल गई देखा जो तुझे तो फिर ये बात बन गई हाँ धीरे धीरे सांसें थम गई अब ये देखा जो तुझे तो फिर ये बात बन गई हाँ चलते चलते शाम ढल गई देखा जो तुझे तो फिर ये बात बन गई हाँ धीरे धीरे सांसें थम गई अब ये देखा जो तुझे तो फिर ये बात बन गई जाने ये कैसे हुआ सब थोड़े से पागल हुए हम देखा था मैंने तुझको जब थोड़ी सी आंखें हुई नम फिर आते काटी चांद और तारों में ख्याली वक्त उन पुलाव पे चढ़ता ही गया इन फिजाओं में जिंदगी धूप और तू छाओ है जाने तू या जाने ना मुझे है नहीं कोई मुझे शिकायतें रह लूंगा मैं तेरे साए में खुश रह तू इतनी सी बात है या इन ख्वाबों में गुमसुम हूँ क्यों
Yes. Thank you.
These my dollars make it hurt.